Yes.
You remember that administrative law judge that sued the poor tailor?
Oh, of course I do.
For millions of
He's
dollars.
a federal administrative law judge.
For millions of dollars because his pants were not the right length or something like that.
They weren't cleaned properly,
okay.
if I remember.
I'll give you another hokey lawsuit, which I think sort of goes along the line.
Is this the same judge?
There's a lawsuit filed by some guy who went to a Hilton Hotel, and Hilton Hotel, according to the public information that I've read and what was reported, gave newspapers out to the person in the hotel.
Oh yeah.
They then charged the guy on his bill 75 cents
for the newspaper.
For the newspaper.
What's the regular price for the newspaper?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's probably 75 cents.
Okay.
He's now sued them in federal district court in San Francisco, as is reported, for the 75 cents.
It's a 75-cent lawsuit?
Yeah, it's a 75-cent lawsuit.
Did he hire a lawyer for this? I hope not.
I'm not sure about that, but it sort of went to me. It sort of went along
Would a lawyer take this on a contingency? I'll take 1/3 of what we get.
I'm a 25% lawyer, but can you imagine somebody going to court over 75 cents?
No. No. In federal court? No.
That's what it said.
No.
So no. I was sort of thrilled seeing that. I went. It reminded me that.
That's bizarre.
1-800-405-4222.
And if you want to send a tweet and ask a legal question by Twitter, it's right on the screen there. It's at Legal Help Live. That's one word. And send us a message, and we'll read it out loud and answer the question.
So you're always reading about fame. You're always reading about famous sports people and their way up and their way down.
Yes.
What's for those of you who are quote baseball fans? Who was the center fielder for the Mets?
Yes.
Who teamed with Mookie Wilson?
Yes.
And was the center fielder for Philadelphia,
right,
whose nickname is Nails.
And he flirted with 400 one year when he was with Philadelphia.
Right. So his name was Lenny Dykstra.
And still is.
And I have never seen such a downward spiral of a, quote, sports legend.
It's sad. It's sad to watch.
Somebody wrote into me the following: Lenny, you're supposed to steal bases, not money. Which I thought was interesting.
He was dismantling very expensive structural portions of his house that's under bankruptcy protection and selling it.
Parts of the house.
Parts of the house. And that violated a bankruptcy court order. And he was also, what else was he?
He had built up this, he had gotten out of baseball. He had become, he got into the car wash business.
Yeah.
He allegedly made a lot of money in the car wash business.
Right.
He then became a, quote, stock person on a TV show.
Stock guru.
On a TV show.
Yeah.
And then after that, everything turned to the end product of protein metabolism, and he went down the tubes. And now he's in jail for the second time.
Wasn't he also accused of fabricating credit information in order to rent cars? He was doing that too. I think he's in trouble in both state court and also federal court on different criminal aspects.
But
it's really too bad. Not a bad guy. Great hitter.
He's a great ball player.
You know what his advice was? For everybody out there who wants to be a baseball player, you want to be a good hitter? Bat speed.
Yeah, well,
that was Lenny.
But I remember when he went from about 170 to 225 in 3 months.
Yes, he did. I'll tell you.
Working out.
You eat well and work out, and it's amazing what you can do to a body.
So what's happening now in California with the tens of thousands of inmates that the Supreme Court of the United States has allowed to...
They're lining up behind their cell doors because they're going to have to be released. The federal court order has now been upheld.
This has been going on for years.
Oh, years.
The prisons were overcrowded.
Yes.
We built prisons.
Cruel and unusual punishment.
We built a number of prisons, and then California put the 3 strikes law in.
That's right.
And we started sending a lot more people to jail.
Right.
And we didn't build any more prisons.
We still haven't. And now what we have is an overcrowded situation in all of these state facilities that is so bad that a United States District Court said that it was cruel and unusual punishment, and that's been upheld by the Ninth Circuit.
And the U.S. Supreme Court.
And the U.S. Supreme Court said, yeah, well, we're not going to get into this.
Okay, so now we've got all these criminals.
And the order is to
release them.
Release them, absolutely.
Or now I see now that
remember the old commercials for well, a number of things. Coming to a neighborhood near you.
Amazing problem with all the budgetary problems. It's sort of been glossed over. I mean, it was a big deal, and then then California fell into the ocean because of its budgetary problems, and then the federal government. We've been watching this charade going on.
Yeah,
But we've got all these prisoners waiting to get out.
Do you see anything in the press about solving the problem short of just releasing people?
Well, the press is not the one who has to solve the problem.
No. Of course not. But the press is going to tell us when the problem is solved.
Well, it isn't solved.
They're not telling us. So I assume that because the press isn't telling us that the problem's solved, my assumption is the problem's not solved.
Well, it's not newsworthy anymore.
Well, okay.
Well, when these
tens of thousands of prisoners are released, it'll be newsworthy again.
It'll be wild. So what we're going to do is take all these people that we spent millions and millions of dollars to put away,
right,
are now going to come back to play.
That's correct.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And we can't do anything about it.
You and I can't do anything about it.
Why don't we just send them to Arizona and house them in tents? Why don't we seriously? Why don't we just build a tent factory out there with barbed wire and put some guards around them?
We're gonna take a break, but I think it's easier than that. I think all we have to do is bust them to the border and open the bus doors. We're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, I'm kidding. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be taking your calls at 1-800-405-4222. We'll be taking your tweets at Legal Help Live, and we'll see you in just a moment. Okay, we are back. Legal Help Live. Ralph here, Steve there. You're calling us at 1-800-405-4222. That's the telephone number to call in and ask a legal question. We are legal. We're lawyers. We're live. We're here for you. Call in, ask that legal question, or you can tweet us at Legal Help Live. That's one word, at Legal Help Live. Send in a tweet message, and we will read the question on the air and answer the question.
So, all of you, I remember all the years when my kids were younger going to the zoo, the LA Zoo, which is an interesting institution. They're talking now about privatization of the zoo.
I saw that,
What
does that mean?
Well, I guess someone buys it and pays a fee back to the city. But what got me is as follows, and it was in regards to some discussion about it. The quote is as follows: "If they can make a profit, why can't we?" That's the quote of Richard Alarcon, a city councilman in Los Angeles.
That's a very good question.
Well, have we ever seen government running anything appropriately when you think about it?
I think...
what kind of adventure...
I think
other than
George Washington and John Adams and Thomas Jefferson all operated within budget.
So when you hear about why can't they, if they can make a profit, why can't we? It's the antithesis of government.
Profit is,
and so I think the quote should be, is if we could screw it up, we can screw it up more.
Probably.
And of course, we're running prisons now in other places in the United States, privatization, and it's worked out. And you give an opportunity to the existing employees to go to work for the private company, but they do it on a profit basis.
Yeah.
I think it's a great example of, I don't know, we don't run sports arenas, we don't run anything.
Nothing that generates a profit or even a break-even. Everything operates at a loss if it's run by the government.
Right.
Can you think of any? Seriously, can you think of anything that's run by the government at a profit?
No.
I can't either.
No. They know. So they don't know how to make a profit because they don't know how to run a business, and they don't run it like a business. So
I don't even think they want to make a profit.
I think, nobody would be giving them the cars and the bureaucratic red tape. It'd be run like a business. And I think for the animal lovers out there, the animals might be a lot happier.
I think the animals would like it if they could participate in a private enterprise.
So my suggestion is as follows at the zoo.
Some animals are very entrepreneurial. Right. I think they could do very well.
I think we should put it to a vote of the animals at the zoo. And I think the vote would probably come out pretty appropriately.
They would. But
now,
let me ask you this. In a show of hands, after the monkeys, what do you get?
That's pretty cute. The orangutans would have more votes than anybody else. But it would be, they could run the voting machines. Or they could count the votes. It would be just as good as anybody else.
They probably could.
So what got me was that if they can make a profit, why can't we? Well, you just can't.
It's a legitimate question. Well, one example that was in the press today, I think was in the newspaper today, I think it was the LA Times just now. There was an official in the city of Vernon. A lot of these little towns their officials are being indicted, prosecuted.
Right. Well, we got Inglewood,
convicted, sent
Compton,
away. Bell,
Vernon.
A number.
And there's a whole bunch of other ones on the.
Well, this guy was actually he pled guilty to corruption. This Vernon official pled guilty to corruption. He was steering city contracts to his